that was silly, ridiculous, a waste of time. They didn't want. That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away. That's why they were so successful. That's why they got away.
I've made a living in a very dangerous.
As you see, this is Vernon Jones with me, who is running for the governor of Georgia. He was a former state representative in the state of Georgia and switched from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party.
Thank you so much for having me on your show. It is so important, and being here at CPAC is important too. And we're sending a message, I think, across the country that there are so many African Americans and Latino Americans who are conservative, and we are a part of the GOP party. I've been a lifelong Democrat, but I've always been a conservative. The Democratic Party today is not the Democratic Party was yesterday, and liberal whites have destroyed the black community. Now it's time for the black community to destroy these liberals. And what I mean by destroying them, walking away from this foolishness that we are suppressed because we can't afford a free ID, so we're going through voter suppression. That's not suppression. That's brainwashing.
That's what Kamala Harris said yesterday.
And, you know, when I heard Kamala Harris carry that narrative for the liberal media, that in rural areas that people don't have access to copiers, there's no quick copier. Well, guess what? Take some of those millions of dollars that they're giving to illegals who are coming to this country and go buy copy machines and put them in public libraries in those rural areas. I bet you they'll have it then. But that goes to show you she is carrying the water just for liberal whites who are making black people feel like we're less than, we're victims. And I don't stand for that. And that's why I'm running for governor of Georgia too. We're going to grow this party. We're going to take Georgia back. We're going to take this country back. And at the same time, blacks are coming home to the grand old party, the party of abolition, the party of Abraham Lincoln, the party of Frederick Douglass, and the King family, men in the King family. So we're coming back.
And the first civil rights acts were done by Republicans, and people don't know that. When Johnson said, I'm going to sign this last civil rights act in '68, Negroes will vote for me the next 200 years, and that's have brainwashed us to do it.
That's the brainwashing. Yes. So that's why I'm glad you and others are educating the African American community.
That's right.
Because, you know, we sit at the dinner table, we can talk about all these issues, and we agree. Black people aren't supporting children going through transgender operations and hormone injections. We're not
infanticide. I don't even think they know what it means.
Right, have no idea. But they're voting for Democrats, and Democrats are destroying them. Now they don't want you to say that you're a male or female. They don't want females, actually they want transgender males participating in female sports.
And women will never win.
And women never win. What about the science there? If you don't think there's a difference between male and female, try to milk a cow.
Right.
Or no, I should say try to milk a bull.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. JonesForGeorgia.com.
As you see, the true black people are coming back to the party that they should be. He switched, as I said earlier, from Democrat to Republican because of policies. Let's stop being fooled. We're not victims. I wouldn't be standing here today. My cameraman, who's a PhD, he's in the military, he's a pilot, Dr. Charles Malveaux, he wouldn't be where he is today if it wasn't for Republicans. Let's not forget the first Civil Rights Act was signed in 1875 by Ulysses Grant, a Republican. The next two Civil Rights Acts were signed by the President of the United States, a Republican, President Eisenhower, which led to the act that Johnson signed. But the groundwork was already there. First way to be profitable and to be subsistent in this country is through education. So let's get back to our roots and let's get back to the Republican Party. Here we go again with another great person here at CPAC. Wanted to hear all the conservative and the great things going on. And this is a young black man, Vernon Jones, who works with Go USA, and he's out of Silver Springs, Maryland. Ronnie, thanks for being with us. How long have you been a conservative?
I've been a conservative for 2 years now.
And what made you switch, Ronnie? You're a young man. How old are you about?
I'm 29.
Okay, so you were 27, and you didn't like the policies that were going on in the Democratic Party?
Honestly, I would say I was kind of conservative, not really, but I started going hard once George Floyd passed away, and I started to realize that the media was spinning this narrative on black people that was so false and so not true at all, and that's what woke me up, and I just started going hard. I want to wake other black young men up like myself.
And that's what Dianne Andrews in Black and White is about. I started this not just knowing, that I would be as much conservative as I am. I started 6 years ago. And I saw the things that Obama, Biden were doing then.
Yeah.
And I did shows against, when you say ISIS is just a JV team. You were a little boy then. And it didn't make any sense. What was ISIS driving in our tanks? You saw them with our guns. They left billions of dollars of our equipment for ISIS then, just like Joe Biden just left Bagram Air Force Base with all our equipment, billions of dollars.
You're passionate about that. I
am
could tell.
Passionate about
I
this.
could tell.
This whole mission of being on what is going. I've been to 6 of 7 continents. There's no place in the world like America.
See, and that's the thing that I want that I want people to understand is there are people coming from other countries who are literally sacrificing their lives just to do what me and you are doing right now. And we are, black people, on this soil, and for us to not appreciate it, it's disheartening to me.
Like the critical race theory, what
It's
they're
sad.
teaching they're trying to put us back where we were into groups, black against white against brown.
For no reason. And
There's a reason. They're trying to take us to communism.
Well,
that's what
yeah.
they did. And CCT, you saw the lady who spoke right on. They call it CCT there, not CRT.
They want to go for our youth because they're the most vulnerable.
And
you know?
take their minds, as Lennon said, 4 years and they'll never go back.
Exactly.
So are your parents conservative, or do they think you're crazy? Because I've had that said to me.
My family, they do think I'm crazy. Before I came out Republican, I was loved by everyone. I was everyone's favorite child, favorite nephew, whatever. I came out conservative and I'm a racist.
I'm going to tell you something to tell your parents. My best friend, who I've had for many years, who I started my career at IBM, we were at IBM together. She said, "Dianne, you're too brilliant to be liking Donald Trump."
Right.
But they don't know the statistics. Lowest unemployment ever, 3.5%.
Right.
Lowest in the country for 50 years, but lowest for blacks and women and Latinos
Exactly.
ever. And he was taking us out of poverty, not by giving us some government handout. He was giving us jobs, because his job growth was not just on educated, it was in the blue collar area.
So the thing about Trump that I really like, when he came out and said "Make America Great Again,"
That's right.
it was just let's make America love each other again.
Right.
Let's all love the fact that we are under this flag and we could just be free. That's what that whole thing meant.
And you know how the Democrats took it, right? They're talking about make America back to slavery times.
When was it great? When was it great? It was great when I woke up this morning. It was great when I went to go work. It was great when I paid my bills. It was great when I was success. It was great when I failed. It was great. My life was great,
That's
so.
right. Have you traveled outside the country at all?
No, I haven't. I mean, when I was younger, I went to Panama. I'm Panamanian, by the way.
Are you? Okay.
Yeah,
Your
but I don't
parents-
remember that. Yeah.
Most people from those other countries love the Republicans because they've seen the socialism.
Because we're
brought into them.
patriotic.
Yeah.
That's why.
And Honduras and all those countries, those people coming over, they know what they have to live with these socialized countries. I'm surprised your mom and them are Republican or conservative.
You see, the thing is, they just don't know.
You know what? And that's what I don't understand, Ronnie. How do black people who believe in God, who go to church, go with a party that wants to kill babies, commit infanticide, and in the 9th month, the last day, you can have an abortion legally in many states in this country passed by Democratic governors and Congress people.
Yeah.
So, and black people tend to be more religious, more conservative. Do any of your friends are any conservative?
No, none of them. None of my friends. I mean, I have friends now.
Yeah.
But,
You've made.
Yeah, that I've made through this movement, but none of my friends are conservative.
I'm going to tell you, I've never felt more comfortable than with Republicans, and I'm from Baton Rouge.
Ooh.
And I'm the only one of the few, if not the only one, who attends the Republican conservative luncheon there. I've never felt more comfortable.
Exactly.
Where I live in Baton Rouge, I've been there 20 years. The community I live in is probably 2% black, okay? I've never felt any
You feel
prejudice
safe.
toward me. I felt
Exactly.
safe, but, people like, oh, white people hate black people.
Not
Down
at all.
south is worse. They're crazy people in every race.
Yeah.
Because black people can do the colorism thing on you too.
Easy.
Easily. So I just say, if we just took one thing, Martin Luther King, judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. And we should be. The way we've been treated, we should believe in that. What he went through and gave his life up for, we should believe that. And that's not what the Democrats are practicing.
I think that a lot of people my age or in my age group, they don't want to be accountable. They don't want to be held accountable for certain things. So they find excuses. And I feel like the Democratic Party gives them that platform for that.
You're right.
Oh, you don't have
Do
to.
they want to be taken care of? Do they want to go to communism, or do they just not know what's going on?
They do not know. They do not know. They're not realizing it. And then the ones that go to college, they're the worst ones to like try to wake up because they think they know everything. But what they're lacking is the actual experience.
Right. How did you get it? What do you do at Go USA? Tell me about that.
Well, with Go USA, we rank politicians. That's what we do. We score them.
I bet Biden's higher than what is it, Democrat or Republican?
Well, we do both. We do both,
Okay.
and we rank them based off personal, social, economic, educational, and national. We rank you on those 5 things. We have a team of people that rank. We don't do the you're Republican, so we're gonna give you higher. No, we do it fair.
Okay.
So John F. Kennedy actually got a really nice rating on our thing.
Well, he should have. He was,
Yeah.
for the 2 years he was there, he was trying to help a lot with black people. And I think that's what changed a lot of black people from Republicans. A lot of blacks used to be Republicans back in the early century. Yeah.
We started it.
Well, the Civil Rights Acts were first signed by Republicans. The 15th Amendment was done by a Republican. And then Ulysses Grant in 1875 signed the first Civil Rights Act. He was a Republican. Eisenhower signed 2. He was a general. And he was a Republican that signed the Civil Rights Act in 57 and 1960.
So I'm on
And
the
black
right path.
people don't know that.
They don't know.
Democrats only signed 1.
They did a
Republicans
good
signed
job,
3.
yes.
The Klan was started by Democrats in Pulaski, Tennessee. I've done Klan shows.
Yeah.
Check out my YouTube. You'll like my shows.
definitely gonna
Yeah,
check
join
you
it
out.
for me. Post me all over the place because this is my mission
No, I got
to
you.
do what we can do to help save this great country.
Yes. Keep speaking this knowledge that you're doing, because people like me, my age, we don't know.
Right.
When you got some representation, that's how you gain people
Right,
like me. You know?
right.
It's a lot of fighting, but
Yeah.
we need more of you. We need more of me to speak
You
up.
need models, role
Yes.
models to know what really went on, not
Exactly.
what they're telling you went on.
Exactly.
Well, thanks, Ronnie, for being with Dianne Andrews in Black and White, and I appreciate it. As you see, I am here getting my vaccine, trying to promote the need and the necessity to get your vaccines, because it seems like they're going to have a passport to even get on a plane is what this administration is trying to do, and to just live life. It seems like it's something like Germany. You had to have your papers to do certain things. So we'll see what materializes from that. But I do believe, remember, I've always said this virus is no hoax. And I wanted the 1 dose Johnson & Johnson. It is at our East Baton Rouge Parish Health Unit here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And a lot of the health units have them around the state, and I'm sure around the country. Pfizer, Moderna are very good vaccines. They have a little higher efficacy rate than this one does. But they're 2 doses, and I'm so busy I wanted to take the 1 dose vaccine. AstraZeneca is the 4th vaccine that was paid for under the Donald Trump administration. It is not out here yet. It is being used, though, in other countries around the world. I'm fixing to get in a car and ride and go somewhere else, and my nephew had it also. He had the vaccine, and he was here with me today. Bye-bye. This panel is so important. Devin Nunes, House of Representatives from California, is talking about, and he just said Kamala Harris didn't go to the border because they don't want to go to the border. They want the 2 million people coming in here. They want them to become their voters. And they also are trying to take us to socialism. And so these people are being paid for by America right now. $150 million a week is being spent on housing, flying them to different places, living in convention centers by you taxpayers. And what are they doing for America? So we're going to listen to this panel and talk a little bit about what's going on in the immigration and talking about Texas, because Governor Abbott is trying to build his own wall. Now that is a problem because the federal court is saying that may be illegal, even though he's putting it on private property.
Don't reverse this. Don't stop construction of the border wall. My goodness, that was the thing that was really working. And you know, if it didn't work so well, why did the Democrats thought it was so you know, immoral? Why did they put up a double perimeter of wall around the U.S. Capitol? You know, that made no sense whatsoever. Unfortunately, and also Title 42, the public health protection directives and protocols, where they could, during a pandemic, they could turn these individuals back across so they wouldn't be infecting American citizens. Unfortunately, they did not listen. As Devin said, they want to replace the American electorate with their own people. That's exactly what this open border business is all about. And quite frankly, Joe Biden and his border czarina, Kamala Harris, who took 100 days to get down to the border and went down for a photo op, and quite frankly, they are violating their oaths of office to protect and preserve and defend the U.S. Constitution. They deserve censorship. They deserve this. And they are simply falling down on the job, refusing to enforce the law, refusing to protect not only Texas and Texas citizens and their property, but all of Americans. But every state in this country is now a border state. I'm very, very proud of our state government who is now stepping into that gap left by the Biden administration to start trying to build the wall, at least close these gaps, and start turning these people back. And only a truthful media and you folks out there and those of us giving that message, informing the American people that this is a renegade presidency that will not enforce the law. And before long, folks, a sovereign, if you don't have secure borders, you're not going to have a sovereign nation. Our nation is at huge risk right now in every aspect, whether it be terrorism, crime, you name it, drugs. From 70 to 90,000 overdose drugs of Americans every year, because fentanyl is up about 1,000% right now. It's out of control. The cartels, folks, are in de facto control of our southern border. And it's got to stop, and the message has got to say. And elections have consequences, folks. We've got to change the House leadership. We've got to change the Senate. And then 2 years later, we've got to change that White House as well. Thank you, Jim.
Julio Rosas is an investigative journalist. He's actually just recently been to the border. And Julio, by the way, one of his badges of honor is the mainstream media hates him because he actually reports the truth. Now, the mainstream media and Joe Biden are telling us right now, there's no crisis. I'm not a journalist. You tell me, is it a crisis, and what is the crisis?
It absolutely is a crisis. I've been down to Texas multiple times in the McAllen, Rio Grande Valley, Del Rio, El Paso, Arizona, even California, and I've been traveling to the border pretty consistently since 2019 when it was under President Trump, and it has been a complete 180. You know, I was on a ride-along with then CBP Commissioner Morgan back in October, right before the election. He was showing the border wall, the new border wall that was being built in El Paso. And the difference was between what was the old wall, which is just a barbed wire, and the 30-foot wall, which is absolutely just staggering to see in person. And then all of a sudden, you know, we have this new administration that has open border rhetoric and policies, which does matter. And it has completely changed. And now we're seeing hundreds of people crossing in the Rio Grande Valley specifically. And I actually brought an example with me. These are different types of wristbands that the cartels use to mark the kids, the women that are coming across the border, just because they want to make sure that they actually pay at least some of it to then cross the river. One of the most disturbing bunch out of the one that I have in my hand here, this gray one, we specifically seen come with females. We're not exactly sure what that means, but it's real. And these litter the banks of the Rio Grande and the trails that they use. So you would also think environmentalists would be up in arms about it, but they're not. But it is a crisis, and the thing is that these are people that are being taken advantage of. I always say the first victims of illegal immigration are the migrants themselves. The tremendous abuse that happens there, the sexual assaults, the physical abuse, and oftentimes they just disappear. It's not uncommon that they just disappear into who knows what. And so I don't see how that's a compassionate border policy that we're seeing. And then on top of that, we have unaccompanied minors coming across. And just recently I saw 2 special needs kids cross in a single night. And Border Patrol is saying that they were seeing a dramatic increase in kids with special needs, sometimes by themselves, coming across the border. So this is a problem right now, and it was self-inflicted, which kind of makes it the worst part of it.
The next time the left tells you how they're for women and children, tell them about the gray wristband. Congressman Nunes, I have a question. You're from California, but not the border part of California. Why should this issue matter to people in middle America that aren't involved in border states? Why is this issue of immigration so important?
Well, look, it's not just like I said in the opening, where we're going to move in an entire major city this year, and they're going to be flooded out all throughout the country. And look, there's a lot of people that we want to let into this country. I mean, that was one of the things that President Trump said. Let's build a wall, let's stop the wall, and then let's go out and recruit the best around the world. We want to be that shining city on a hill, like Ronald Reagan said. But I just want to give credit where credit's due, and we should all give a round of applause to a real investigative reporter who you don't see this type of work being done. But it's work like this. I always say that the left, they control 95% of the media. But look at what we do with less than 5%. We do all the investigative work. We bring out the truth. And now the problem is, as I know we've had a lot of discussion over the last few days, it's the social media companies censoring. But we're going to get through that problem too. But let me tell you about my most recent trip to the border. So I was down in Texas on the Rio Grande Valley, but I also went to California. So this is not just about it's horrible what's happening to the kids. It's horrible what's happening with the drug cartels. But you have another cottage industry going. I was going along the border with Congressman Issa. We had a delegation down there, and we come up and there's two young families, 5 young kids, an older gentleman, and I didn't really think they looked like they were from Central America. So I went up in my pretty worthless Spanish, and I started speaking Spanish to them, and I realized they didn't speak Spanish. Well, it ends up, then they start telling us a story. Well, they're actually Roma. They're from Romania. They're gypsies, and so they're speaking some broken English, and we're communicating. And they were mad. They were all dressed up, fancy purses. I mean, everything. I'm like, man, how'd you guys get across like this? Well, it ends up, they took a direct flight into Mexico. Cartel then picked them up. They had just left Romania 2 days before. So clearly there is a sophisticated operation of human smuggling and human trafficking that's bringing over. I'm sure it looked to me like these people actually had some money. So there's a lot of weird stuff going on out there. Not from the small kids to the women that are being horribly treated, all the way to what are people being smuggled over here from Romania for.
We're about solutions. We're about solving problems, taking action here at CPAC. Congressman Babbitt, I have a question for you. What can we do in the short term? What can we do to help the Border Patrol? What can we do? We know that, unfortunately, right now, we've got people that are encouraging basically open borders, the reversing all the policies that you and President Trump did. What can we do to make the situation better?
Thank you, Jim. Number one, don't cut the border security's budget. The president has basically flatlined our border security in this budget. Billions and billions of dollars for Green New Deal policies and what have you, taking our federal take over our election process, on and on and on, but not increasing the border security budget. That's incredible to me with what we're seeing down there. And quite frankly, I'm the House Border Security Caucus co-chairman. I've led 3 groups down to the border this year alone. I've been to every state on the southern border, and I remember those stories about the cruelty and inhumanity of the Trump administration with the kids in cages built by President Obama's administration, by the way. And I was in Donna, Texas, looking at a CBP facility that had a maximum capacity of 250 children. There were 5,700 kids in there. 5,700 stacked like hardwood. A couple of weeks later, they were issuing photographs from that facility with empty pods, saying that, look, we've got everything under control. Like Vice President Kamala Harris, she said, we're having extreme progress down at the border. But when asked, that progress is processing migrants across the border and releasing them into the country. What they're doing is a shell game. The Biden administration is taking them out of CBP facilities, putting them in HHS facilities, and taking a picture and say, look, we got it all under control. What the solution is to re-implement these policies, and it's not real easy. I was with President Trump down on the southern border in the Rio Grande sector a couple of weeks ago with Governor Abbott, and I can tell you it's not going to be quite as easy as just re-implementing these policies because it took so long to negotiate some of these. But for goodness sake, start rebuilding the wall. Start closing these gaps. Don't get rid of Title 42 during a COVID pandemic, for goodness sakes. Be able to have some tool in your tool chest to be able to turn people back and protect the people of the United States of America. And our Constitution, whether a lot of folks don't realize it, but in Article 4, Section 4, our federal government is mandated to give us a Republican form of government and protect us from invasion and protect us at the border as well. And if they don't do that, our states can fill that gap in. And I can tell you, God bless Texas for standing up. God bless Florida, South Dakota, North Dakota, Idaho, all these states that are sending people to help our state regain its secure border. It has to be done. And then again, elections have consequences. Don't vote for open borders Democrats, folks. You can't. Talk to your friends, your neighbors, your relatives. Don't vote for the folks that are giving you open borders. Let me tell you, Texas is filling up with Californians, New Yorkers. People are moving down. They're getting out of those places.
I was happy to be here today.
I'm glad you're here, Devin. Glad you're here. Anyway, that's how we solve the problem, Jim.